Hello, welcome into the PHNX Rising Podcast, a rare podcast on a Monday. Don't normally have many of these, but the Wednesday game, having to space things out a little bit more. I'm Owain Evans. We actually have a special guest coming in now. Let's get the drum roll going. And, oh God, no, he's back. Oh no.
I'm back,
Oh
suckers, like I never
no.
left.
The ad man
Oh,
has
man.
returned.
Dude, everyone's, what more can you want? What more can you want? It's great to be back. What a warm welcome, Owen. What a warm welcome. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Oh, gosh. No. Okay. I see what you did there. You changed my name. Well, cool. You've been doing a great job with the, holding down the fort and all that stuff, but it's time to take the reins back. Oh, Mikey with the, oh God, no. I know. It's a lot to take in. You'll get used to it. But hey, welcome in everyone to the PHNX Rising Podcast. Nice to be back in the saddle. I'm Max Simpson. I'm joined by Owen as he introduced himself, but okay. And just in time for Kane's 5 penalties, we are back on it per usual. It was nice little vacation in South America for a couple weeks. Saw some footy, which was
Now
fun.
he's back in the dingy bedroom.
I'm back in the dungeon, baby. What better place? What better place, man? But no, nice to be back on the pod Monday. Super weird. I don't like that. But hey, like you said, we got to space it out, and we got a lot to get to today, man. Shoot, let's just jump right into it. We got a match coming up on Wednesday against those New Mexico United folks, but we got a little match to kind of cover from the weekend. Louisville City 2-2, Phoenix Rising at home. Mr. Owain Evans, I saw the highlights what I could in South America.
You didn't watch the full game, Max.
My reception and what I had out there was very tough, but I was able to watch a good chunk of what I could. Saw the highlights and saw the analysis, of course, from yours truly. What do you think of the match?
What about from Emma? Didn't you enjoy Emma's analysis as well?
Of course.
She may be coming in to replace you, and then
I have heard the fans would be okay with that. And you know what? That's a testament to the guests you've been bringing on. So I don't take any qualms with that. All power.
Let's talk about Louisville though, right? It was in some ways it was deja vu again. I think the second 2-2 draw in a row at home, literally one Saturday to the next, but it definitely felt different in some ways. I think that as Michael mentioned there in the chat, definitely it felt as overall, when you take a step back, Rising was better than we'd seen them in previous weeks. There were still elements that were missing. I think it was a series of very bad decisions, to be honest, in terms of giving up the penalty, in terms of, I don't know what they were doing defensively on the goal from open play that was conceded by Phoenix Rising. But when you look at the attack, they were creating more chances overall. I think that in some cases they were better chances. There were a couple of bad misses in there. I think they need to be a little bit more clinical with those moments. But overall, I felt as though for a Louisville side that, they've struggled a little bit more this year. They're not quite as good as they have been in years past, even though we have gotten used to, on occasion, they start slow and pick it up and just get hot at the right time. But they're down in 5th in the Eastern Conference, so they're not mugs by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that to come out of that game with a point, and to come out of it feeling as though, broadly speaking, Rising, if anyone was going to win that game, it would or should have been Phoenix Rising. I think there's a lot of positives to take from that at the very least.
Yeah, no, 100%. And this game does come down in a way to penalties. Mikey brings up the question, were they right to go away from Arteaga to Trejo on the second penalty? It's always an interesting one. Kind of the age-old question. I know we're going to kind of dance around the goals and talk about them, but that's always a very fascinating one, right? Like, Arteaga misses, you're definitely not bringing him back for the second, but he makes it. I'm of the belief you go with the hot hand, even if it is in the same game.
All right, Harry Kane.
What's that?
Harry Kane is your perfect counterpoint to that.
Of course.
The fact is, I think you do have to change, right? Maybe they change the right way, the wrong way. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you do not. And especially, I think it needs to be said, look at how slim the time between that first penalty and that second penalty is. Look at how quickly Rising go from getting that one that Arteaga blasts and he puts it away well. To the one that Trejo ultimately takes. Do you really want Arteaga? Look, it's been said before, there have been studies done. Typically, strikers are better or penalty takers are better when they don't have to think about where they're going to put it. You just tell them to put it in a spot. They step up and do it. The key thing here is that you need to you need to be thinking about the fact that the mental side of things, penalties are not easy. Penalties, any player can ultimately tuck a penalty away if you're asking them to just do it. Any player as a professional player can put the ball in a particular spot when it's stationary from 12 yards out. Sure. The key thing is the mental side of it. And when you've just taken one, to send someone up to take it again, they're thinking, now, do you go the same way as you did the last time? Do you look to change things up? And that kind of stuff weighing on your head, it's not going to help, right? Those things lower the odds of you tucking it away. Now, I think as well, despite what some people may say, I don't think anyone would have bet against Danny Trejo stepping up to take a penalty in that moment. I don't think a single person would have had cause for complaint about the fact that the ball would be handed to him. I don't think they'd have complained if he was handed it for the first penalty.
Sure.
And it didn't work out. That happens sometimes. Everyone misses some penalties.
Of course.
Apparently, unless you're Luka Modric, and even then your team doesn't go on.
Or me. I've also never missed a penalty in my career. Just want to throw that out there.
How many have you taken, Max? About 2?
Probably taking like 4 or 5.
You just miss sitters from open play. Okay.
All right.
But the key thing here is that, you don't want, I think, to invite the additional pressure of taking the second one. I think you get the one, that's good enough. Give it to someone else.
Yeah. I was going to say we probably need to spend more time on this than needed. I will quickly interject and just say I disagree. I think you go with the guy, not even necessarily the hot hand, but you just give the counterpoint is the confidence of, hey, I stepped up, I made the first, let me go back, make the second. Honestly, if anything, it may even be an overthink for the keeper too, as which way they're going or
why.
Whatnot.
There's Max. Don't even go into that with the overthink on the keeper.
What
pressure is on a goalkeeper at a
None.
penalty? Exactly. So why are they overthinking anything?
Because doesn't everyone?
They're not the one who's got to really execute on a penalty. The one who's got to execute is the guy kicking the ball. It's not the goalkeeper. Nobody expects the goalkeeper to make a save. It's a bonus if they do.
Yeah, it's easier to say, right? Because Danny Trejo missed it, and like again, if Danny Trejo stepping up, 9 times out of 10, I would probably bet on him to hit that one. That's being said, I still ride the guy because you see most of the time at the top level, the guys who are taking these penalties, in most situations, you're bringing up the guy in repeat performances in the same match to take that pen. But hey, we can belabor this.
It's such a small sample size, though. How many times do you get 2 penalties in a game? How many times do you get 2 penalties that close together? I can name you the most notable recent example, and you won't like it because we've already hinted at it a little bit already. Harry Kane. Harry Kane in the World Cup. What happens? You watch any of the talk from professionals after that game. They're all telling you don't take 2. Don't take 2. You overthink it.
I guess we agree to disagree. I will say it's easier in hindsight to kind of say, right, Danny Trejo didn't bury it, and this is kind of what led to the 2-2 draw, where Rising, like you said, performance probably could have won it on a different day, maybe 8 times out of 10. Ball rules.
There were a couple of other opportunities they had in there.
For sure.
That's the thing. It wasn't just a penalty. We'll all focus on. Everyone inevitably will focus on Danny Trejo and the fact that you missed that penalty. And to a degree, yes, okay, it's the best chance that you get. But you also look at some of the others that realistically Rising more times than not should be putting away, and they didn't. And that's where the problem really comes from then, is that when you have 2 or 3 chances that probably you could have put away that would have ultimately won you the game, and you don't do that, that's why you ultimately end up drawing instead of winning.
No, 100%. I think the other thing, right, that we saw is a bit of uncharacteristic defensive errors, right? The penalty that Louisville draw, just kind of tired feet, heavy feet.
Was that uncharacteristic or?
I would say over the whole of the season, it's just something where you're going to find defensive lapses of maybe they're caught out of counter, but just not really something where.
No, I think it's regular. I think every game they have that 1 or 2 brain farts. That's why they can't keep clean sheets. And they can't keep clean sheets.
I'm talking about the way that it happened, that you haven't seen, at least I haven't seen in the last handful of matches, where Rising is maybe slow to step within their own box, and they're drawing the penalty and they're committing that type of foul. Granted, it may not have led to penalties in other matches, but usually they've been getting beat this season on hey, it's like a, either a quick in transition or, hey, just maybe not stepping out, which was the other goal. It was late to stepping out. But the heavy feet, they've been usually relatively tight when it's in their own box. They've been being on crosses. They've been being on counters. This was a bit different. And it's something where, I mean, listen, we were kind of talking about it before we started, is you're going to, it's going to be a bit of a defensive, how you say, putting the guys in the right places with, different international competitions coming up.
Yeah, it's awkward, right? We saw Rising playing with a back four. That changes things in some ways, right? And it's inevitable. I mean, it was inevitable that you kind of have to do that. I mean, the question then becomes, who else is there at the moment? I mean, Niall Dunn starting on his recovery, Mo Traore, but they're not.
Yeah.
Look, Rising is not really in a position right now to adequately replace Kev Lambert. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem when it comes down to, now he's gone for the next few weeks as well. Of course, Kev named to the squad for Jamaica for the Gold Cup. He will be gone. Carlos Harvey not named to the Panama squad for the Gold Cup. Actually, very good news for PHNX Rising. The fact that that's happened. Yeah. So there's adjustments there. I mean, there's always going to be adjustments there. I will say this though: it was the second time that Fuenmayor conceded a penalty this season.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's not like the first. I don't know. And I mean, the key thing as well to me is actually when you watch that second goal, now they back off of him quite a bit. They do back off of Dylan Mahrez quite a bit as he's running through there. I don't think people really engage with him. The only person who it looks like they make any kind of engagement with him is Alejandro Fuenmayor. And what he does is he commits to one side and he's wrong-footed. It goes the other way. Mahrez takes it the other way and he just walks around him effectively. I think that all of those things, it's just sloppy. And I was quite critical of Fuenmayor, I think, after the match on Saturday. And I still am. I think that his performance was not great. I think we've seen that from him defensively a few times this season. And I'm getting a little bit concerned about that. I think that there's potentially a case, even when Kev Lambert comes back, that Rising looks to stay with a four back and maybe you end up dropping Fuenmayor. You put Kev Lambert in that back four. Look, I don't mean to say this. And again, right, I feel like every time I end up being critical of a player, I always feel the need to make this case. I always feel the need to make the comparison to something we said last year and just verify the fact that I am not talking about that specific kind of level of problem, right? Fuenmayor has been playing, in my mind, substandard. That's not to say that he shouldn't be at this level, which again is, of course, harking back to a certain winger that Rising signed last season who shouldn't have been playing at this level.
Of course, you would never be.
That's not the case here at all.
Of course not.
But I just think there's some things where he's just getting caught a little bit. He's not necessarily as up to speed as I'd like to see. I think we could see more from him. I think he needs to step it up over these next few weeks, particularly in the absence of Kevin Lambert. I know that when I spoke about it on the pregame show in your absence, Max. We were speaking about this ahead of the last game, and I said that to me, the guy to watch on Rising's side is Daniel Crutzen. He needs to step up because we need to see someone replacing not only Kev's abilities on the back line, but also working hard to replace some of his leadership abilities. Well, to me, Crutzen is still performing all right. I'm happy enough with what I'm seeing out of him. To me, the one who needs to step up now is Alejandro Fuenmayor, and he needs to be a little bit more solid at the back, a little bit better judgment on times, because I think in that last game we just saw some poor judgment overall from him.
Yeah, it's almost interesting, right? I mean, if you look at the center backs, Kev Lambert, he's been consistent throughout, Rising. We've talked about at length, top three Rising players alongside Carlos Harvey and Rocco Rios Novo in terms of the consistency, in terms of the top performances, the man of the match types of things, like, you're going to get from him. It's kind of interesting, the duality, how almost in the beginning of the season, you saw that Daniel Crutzen a bit was, had the shaky back pass against San Diego, had maybe not the most towering of heading performances, aerial duels, in a couple of the earlier matches. And Fuenmayor, to me, outside of Kev Lambert, was the better of the two standouts. You kind of go down the stretch of the season. I'm not saying it's a linear progression or degression, but, the fact that as the season's gone on, you've seen Daniel Crutzen having a few nice bounce back performances. Maybe has been a bit more consistent down the stretch versus Fuenmayor, like you said, prone to a couple lapses, and maybe not as much. I think there's been other ones where it's just been poor positioning. I harken back to the goal score that Las Vegas Light scored. We were just kind of out of position, kind of lets that one roam free. But this one, I mean, he shields him the attacker towards the end line, so he's doing what he's supposed to do. But then when you get that cutback, you just can't be flat-footed in the box. To your point, so you hope to
just
think
stick a leg out.
I mean,
stick a leg out, and
but
it's so slow.
You can't just stick a leg out. That doesn't go well. It doesn't always go well. Oh yeah. No, it's something where you got to be light on your feet. And I mean, listen, it's something where at this league you have to be able to know that Louisville's a threatening team, and it's something where it's very going to be interesting how it translates to New Mexico, right? I'm curious, before we keep on going on and talking about New Mexico and the upcoming matchup, who are some of your standout performers who did well against Louisville?
Yeah, I think that, look, I spoke about him in the negative earlier. I will say that Arteaga, to me, covered a lot of ground, was getting stuck in, was getting into better positions, was definitely, I think, overall an improved performance from him. Again, it wasn't a complete performance in some ways, but then he scores his penalty. So, again, there's an extent to which you can't complain. Striker gets a goal in a game. I think as well, we just, broadly speaking, right, we have a lot of criticism for Arteaga on times. We have done on this show. We have done, I think, online in general, and the fan base have joined in on that as well. I will say this. The guy has scored 7 goals in 14 league games. Okay, let's be realistic here and say that someone who is scoring every other game on average, yes, there's inconsistencies. Yes, we don't like to see those. However, when you're putting up numbers like that in the nicest possible way, this guy is scoring at the rate that you want your number 9, starting number 9, to be scoring at. At this rate, the guys could get 15 goals this season. If you don't score, if you score 15 goals as a centre forward, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear any complaints, right? I just feel as though he had a great. It was his birthday as well, so happy birthday to Manu, that one on Saturday. Nice. But again, I think for all the complaints we've had, he's starting to settle into a role whereby he will pick up some of those goals. And again, he's a little bit on, a little bit off, but when he's playing well, he'll find the back of the net. Some of the other people who I'd say, ooh, that's a good question. I liked Danny on times out wide.
Yeah.
Penalty miss accepted. I didn't mind it at all. I think that was something that I know Jake, again in your absence, Max, had been calling for. Obviously, we had Jake Anderson on the pod. He'd said he actually thought that in some ways it would be better to see Danny being able to be in that kind of wider position. See how he does in that kind of role. I think we saw him play through for Manjoma. That and ultimately resulted in the one penalty, the second penalty. Happy enough with that. I think overall, look, it wasn't a bad team performance. I think in general there were some positives, some negatives. Overall, I don't think it was a bad team performance. I think there's still work to be done. Yeah. Inevitably, there will be. This team remains in 8th position in the West. However, overall, I just think it was back to what we've been calling for which is we needed to see a return to the week-by-week improvements in this team. Sure. I do feel as though I saw a week-to-week improvement between the Oakland game and the Louisville game.
Certainly. No, and the results are coming. Granted, both of those were draws, but I mean, you compare them to these last 2 matches to the 2 before, both losses. And again, like we keep on saying, right, we want the performances to match the results. Not all the time, especially earlier in the season. It was certainly not that way. You had some losses where they performed well and some wins where they did not perform as much. It seems like the last handful of matches, it's been a bit more, I would say, consistent in terms of the performance you're getting and the results that are coming. And that to me, I think is the real sign, is in the long run, the law of averages will average out. And that's really where you see.
Oh no, we're not talking about these law of averages now, are we, Max? That's
Oh
not
boy.
necessarily how things work. Things don't
Doesn't?
always regress to.
It doesn't.
No.
I'm saying not only over the long haul of the season, but even when you're really talking about like we'll call what it is, like a retransformation of a team over a new coach and everything like that. Like it's not always perfect, not by no means. And there's definitely going to be outliers. This entire thing can, right? Like you might get a batch of results that don't meet the performances in a positive or negative way. But I think that's something where over the long haul, it's what you want to see. And the ball bounces one way, ball bounces another. We like to see it. Shout out Albert in the chat. How's it going? Better late than never. Excited to hear what you guys have to say. We appreciate that. Sly is regression of the mean is more or less exactly what we're talking about. But no, it's something. You have to keep harking on these performances. They will deliver over time. Something that's going to deliver over time for you is our friends at Circle K. Make sure you're not missing on all the great stuff they have going on. It's hot out, guys. They got the iced coffee. They got the cold beers, the cold energy drinks, all of that jazz. Listen, you guys watching along, you guys hear me talking about it, but I want to see you guys step into action right now. Pull out your phone. I'm going to give you something, little taste of refreshment. Takes like 5 seconds to do, I promise. Text PHNX, that's PHNX, to 31310 to join their subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free 32-ounce Polar Pop baby. Again, that's PHNX. Text it to 31310 to get buy one, get one free Polar Pops and all kinds of fun stuff they got going on. Oh boy, PHNX Sports joined the chat. Back out again. Gosh, I know you guys missed this. I'm giving that for you, giving the people what they want. Thank you to our friends at Circle K, giving us what we want. Speaking of giving us what we want, we can also get at Circle K is our friends at Four Peaks Brewery. Four Peaks, they got all the great stuff. They are the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks, another team that we cover. Not me and Owen, but the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast. They rattle on red ale. All kinds of great things. When you're at Chase Field, hop over to the Four Peaks draft room. You're looking at the suite level, grab some beers. Tell them I sent you. I don't think they're going to pay for it because, I'm already busting out the free beers all the time.
They'll also, if you walk up and just go, Max Simpson sent me. Who?
Yeah,
Who?
Well, maybe I don't know if they're an owl.
Good,
I don't know if
great,
they're an owl.
cool for you.
No, I don't know about that. But what I was going to say is they're not going to pay for a free beer for you because, I don't have their tab. They don't have my tab on. But, you can check out Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub. Keep with the latest at America's hometown brewery. You must be 21 years or older to enjoy Four Peaks. Please enjoy responsibly. Oh, Damon in the chat, Max is buying. Well, I did say for, like this video and Max will buy everyone beers. We do want to see the likes. Yeah, please like this video. Maybe I'll buy you a beer. We'll see. We'll see. If you catch me at the next.
The company has now said that you're doing it, Max. So
the company. Which company is that? PHNX.
The PHNX Sports has said you're buying people beers.
I don't know. I think
that's official now. I think that counts.
I think it must have gotten hacked. I hate when that happens. Seems to happen often on this show. Something that hasn't happened often enough on this show is we have to talk about New Mexico United, and not in like a positive way or something that, okay, Adman's buying beers. Okay, my display name has changed. That's lovely. Not in a positive way, but, New Mexico United, I will say they are divisive. They are controversial.
All right, how do we feel about New Mexico United? Tell us in the chat how you feel.
Yeah, please.
How you feel about them.
Go off, Queen.
The chat started going off, so let's get them really riled up now.
Yeah, New Mexico United, they last time they faced Rising, little loss to knock out yes. It has started. We love that. Last time they faced Rising, they knocked them out of the Open Cup. And this is the first their first league game of the season. It's gonna be kind of edgy. Would you say, Owen?
It's always edgy.
Of course.
Rumor has it it's edgy at a 7-degree angle, which is the degree to which they had to just move the pitch because minor league baseball wanted them to move the pitch slightly.
Rough. 7. It's almost like the score that they beat the kids last year.
Yeah, children by. Yeah.
Dumping it on the fire. Dumping it on the fire.
Yeah. I will say this. Look, New Mexico United, they're a team that people in the chat very clearly have a lot of opinions about. Gerald's team. Yeah, we'll be after Gerald after this one. Trust me, a Phoenix Rising win in Albuquerque, rumor has it that Max is just going to be bombarding Gerald's mentions.
Yeah, I think everyone will tweet at Gerald.
Yeah. if they happen to do that, then yes, definitely do that. Look, I think it's going to be a bit of a testy one. It always is. These two teams never are particularly friendly. Let's be
Yeah.
perfectly honest. I will also say this. Look, and this goes back to the first year, right? It goes back to the first year. There's a little bit of hatred there in the early
Yeah.
days, but not really anything serious. And then you get the away game in New Mexico. That changes things. You end up with Rising taking a decent following over there, celebrating in their stadium,
Oh yeah.
going and partying in their locker room with the fans after winning the regular season title over there, putting stickers up, having the New Mexico fans crying online about, oh, they put stickers here, they put stickers there.
The sticker
Oh,
incident is
someone's gonna have to clean them off. Oh, okay. So you go through all of that. You then have, I believe it was Josh Suggs, wasn't it? Josh Suggs, like literally a week or two later, making his comments on the Curse Cast, actually, talking about how he took issue with Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising were the anti-New Mexico United. New Mexico United were all about the collective. Phoenix was about the individuals. And you hear all of that kind of nonsense, okay? It's just that always I found hilarious, right? Because you don't win a league individually. Yeah, you don't, not a regular season title. You just don't do that over that spell of time. Look, that kind of stuff kicked it all off. I think that last year only poured petrol onto the flames. Okay, you just the whole way that went down, and I know it didn't quite turn out the way they wanted this year when they went back there and looking for revenge. You had a bad incident where Babu decides to kick out for no real good reason. Gets got sent off, really leaves Rising in the lurch. But I just feel as though overall it's going to be an interesting one. Now, I will tell you, can I just say something interesting here before we get into really talking about the team? One thing that's interesting is that PRO are yet to actually, they're normally on a, it's a Monday, isn't it? That's why they haven't released the referee assignments. Normally it's on a Tuesday release the referee assignments.
Everyone knows that.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued who they give to this game because I think that could have quite an impact on this one. This is notoriously one of the testier of the games, I think, in this league. Has the potential to blow up. We actually saw it starting on a few different occasions to blow up a little bit in that Open Cup game. You managed to get it back under control by the second half, but the first half, as that half progressed, starts to get a lot testier. Not fun. I will say this. PRO this year, I don't have a huge amount of faith in how they are assigning people. I get the feeling, no, and you're going to laugh here, right? But here's the thing. There's a clear and obvious hierarchy. If you follow the referee assignments, if you follow a lot of these games, you get to know really what the hierarchy of the people and who should be having big games and who should be those kind of things. They haven't been assigning people in those kind of manners, and that surprised me. I get the feeling that sometimes the assignments have been following. I wonder if they're logistical more than done on merit, done on thought of where the you know what it's like. Look, if you're watching the Premier League, you know that they've got their top 3 or 4 referees, and when you get a big game, one of those guys is going to get that game. I don't get the feeling that they're really taking context. They're taking all of those things into account at all when they are assigning some of these games. That worries me. I think that's very concerning. I think that's poor. But I do fear that that's what they've been doing, and especially on a Wednesday night when sometimes knowing that these referees are not full-time employees as referees, you do have to worry that there's a potential we see someone a little bit further down the pecking order who may not be ready for what this game can devolve into.
Sure. And that was going to be, kind of my question. You kind of hinted at it, right? There are 2 elements to me, right? The one being it's on Wednesday night, it's maybe not that prime time Saturday slot, but the other one is, listen, we'll call it what it is. These teams have both been underwhelming, at least in terms of the table, right? 8th and 9th respectively in the table right now. Maybe that factors into the decision a bit. Maybe that's something where they have to weigh that along with the Wednesday time slot. I think right on paper, or at least on how the teams are performing this season, this may not be the marquee matchup, the USL of, oh, hey, 2 Western rivals, and we say the term rivals loosely. I don't want people.
I know the chat's gonna hop in and say they're not a rival. They're not a rival. They're just people who. I don't know, something about rats will get mentioned.
Why would they do that? Yeah. No, but you may look on the table and say, hey, this is not the quote unquote matchup that would warrant that type of refereeing decision, or even just the notoriety from the league. But the fact of the matter is, this is something, call it a rivalry, call it an arch enemy, whatever you want to call it. This is something where it is a must watch and a really something you got to dive into, because my word, it is palpable. It is really palpable. And I don't think you see that every day. You see some random flare-ups of, some red cards here and there throughout different matchups, but this is a history of two teams that do not like each other, that have player swaps, that there is a lot of familiarity, more so than a lot of other matchups throughout the league. And I think we're going to see that all in 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, it could well turn pretty nasty. There's going to be a lot, I think, left on the field in this one, which is good. Look, it's never easy, I think, when these two sides meet. It's never easy to work out quite what's going to happen. I think that Rising overall had this spell of dominance in this back and forth. However, when you really get into it and you look now, these last two games, it's swung away from a little bit, but one of them was a cup game.
Yeah.
One of them was, of course, the infamous beating of children.
Context.
Phrasing. The context not needed. They beat children. They did. But I just think that, look, it's still, to me, looking into this, even though Rising have never gone to Albuquerque and won, I still think that in some ways Rising are in a more stable position.
Yeah.
Rising, to me, broadly speaking, are the better team.
Sure.
I think this is Rising's to lose.
Okay.
But in a game like this, logic goes out the window.
Sure does, doesn't it?
Just a little bit. Little bit.
I mean, emotions, right, run high. We've seen, like we said, we've alluded to it. The red card early on in the Open Cup matchup. Greg Hurst scoring against Rising, like all those things. Any one of those things happen, and even other factors, it puts this game and it turns it on its side, right? I mean, you can go in with the perfect game plan, but you go into an environment, and I don't mean hostile environment in terms of the fans that are there, right? But I'm talking about the team, talking about the playing surface, talking about like the entire, playing in Albuquerque, right? No, but the entire environment. It's just something where you have to get up for that one, and knowing that you came off a couple home matches, got some draws out of it. Maybe you were looking for wins, of course. Surely you could have thought you maybe left some points on the table, but this is where you're able to take the victory and really, I'm not saying, it's going to turn around the season or anything like that off of one match, but this is where you can build some momentum against an opponent who you do not like, make it a bit of a statement win. I am curious, and I would love to get the chat's thoughts on this as well. I haven't asked this in a couple of weeks. I'm going to need a prediction from you as well as the chat. Yeah.
Well, look, we haven't. Hang on a minute. We should talk a little bit more about their team, shouldn't we? First.
Oh, sure. If there's anything else,
I feel like we should give some actual context to the football instead of just the rivalry. Lack of rivalry, as some will again say. Listen, here's what I'll say. They changed a little bit since Eric Quill's arrival. They're still kind of looking similar shape-wise, but what they do, they're a little bit more patient coming out of the back. Expect to see a couple of those guys, maybe a Santimar, maybe Bruce, kind of dropping back. They'll try and help work the ball out from those areas. They'll drop into pockets to do that. So they're just a little bit more patient in that build-up. Although late, they were switching to a few more long balls, maybe. I think that overall, look, Rising should expect, I think, look, the changes in New Mexico that I'm expecting from Eric Quill, they're long-term changes. It's not necessarily a short-term huge fix. I'm expecting to be a project builder over there. And obviously a project is not built in a week, which is how long roughly he's been there for. It's tough. I think it's something that Rising can capitalize on, which is because they're still working out what they want to be. And B, Rising will struggle with because they don't know quite exactly what he's going to come out with. But Eric Quill still, I don't think it's a bad managerial appointment for them. I think as someone who you want in the long run, who's definitely had experience of winning a title in League One, working in the backroom staff of a pretty good team in MLS, and giving you a link as well to FC Dallas. I just feel as though overall it's a long-term appointment, not a short-term appointment, and it's needed. I don't think that everyone always saw eye to eye with Zach Prince over in New Mexico. It's not the impression that I've gotten, but I think that the jury's still out on quite what he'll be like over there. I mean, it's way too early. It's like a week into Eric Will's spell in New Mexico. We can't really tell that much about what he's expected to achieve, how well he's getting on with the people there. That stuff takes time, so we'll have to see.
Do you think that plays to New Mexico's advantage, that perhaps it's a different coaching setup, a little new manager bump, perhaps?
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, they had their first game and it was a 2-2 draw at home against RGV, which I don't think is a fantastic result at all. No. When you look at PHNX Rising, I mean, the difference here is that Zach Prince was a new manager, but he'd been there for a while. He knew what this game meant. Does Eric Quill know what this game means? Really? Has he experienced this game? The answer to that is no. And so I think that there's a chance, but also, again, new managers sometimes coming into games that are particularly hostile don't necessarily get the gravity of that.
Sure.
Or they might, but they've not experienced it enough to fully get it.
Yeah, but even like the players,
a
right?
More abstract.
Yeah, but even like, players left over from last year playing for New Mexico, even the ones involved in the Open Cup matchup, right? I get the manager kind of context of it, but there's still players who were involved in at least one of those matches, and they're the ones who are playing on the pitch. So that's going to be interesting. I mean,
score predictions then.
Well, I was going to say, and listen, we can talk about the parallels of former Rising players on New Mexico. Listen, I'm seeing guys dropping in the chat. I see Thomas with a 3-0 PHNX win. Sly with 10-0 Rising.
Well, that's because, by the way, if you like this video, I hear that Adman will do a tequila shot for every Rising goal on Wednesday.
I mean, I usually do a tequila shot after victories. I reserve them for...
No, you're doing one for every goal, Max.
I'm sorry. The company cannot
this game matters more. The game matters more.
Why don't you put this game matters more? It's a Wednesday night. It's a school night.
Game matters more. You're doing a tequila shot for every goal. So, Enrique here saying 3-1 PHNX. Thomas with a 3-3 draw. Yeah, okay. A lot of goals. People are going, well, this is interesting because here's the thing. 3-1. Michael says, here's the interesting thing. Myself and Max, we sat down earlier. We met up in the studio. 1-1 draw comes Albert now.
Very
both of us actually went with a 1-0 to Rising. Didn't we earlier, Max?
We did. We something we agreed upon. Doesn't happen often. Yeah, well, you just have to take 2. Oh, goodness gracious. No, listen, getting back real quick to the shots situation. I'll take a shot if they win. But not if they not.
You're doing a second. You're doing a second. You're at least doing a second for this one because this game.
You are going to be in another state, sir. Game. You're going to be in another state, sir. You cannot enforce that.
Yes, I'm going to be in a state whereby if I had the second shot, it would probably improve the situation. Because let's be real about the state of that state.
Well, because you know what you like to say. Your favorite part about going to Albuquerque?
Leaving Albuquerque.
Nice. I'll go shot for shot with you, Max, for any team that score. Thomas, I might have to rethink my strategy. That's a tempting offer. But speaking of tempting offers, man, you can get down with our friends at OG's Brands, man. You guys know what's happening on Wednesday. I'm talking about this Wednesday. I'm talking about 2 days from now. I'm talking about June 21st, the first official day of summer, baby. They are officially releasing 2 dispos throughout the valley. Their new summer edition. It's pink lemonade, fresh, tangy lemon, a hint of red berry, and a little sugar, if you will. Little summer flavor. They had the Pina Colada limited edition.
Max, are you going to
phenomenal. What?
Are you going to demonstrate the product live on the show on Wednesday? I've heard you are. You could demonstrate the product live on the show. I could. Guess you guys will have to stay tuned. You might need one to ease the nerves a little bit there, you know?
Oh, that's fair. You know, you're gonna have to tune in Wednesday, maybe see what happens. But yeah, friends at OG's Brands, that pink lemonade, I'm telling you guys, it's gonna taste so dang delicious. Always is. I actually got a nice little DM when I was in South America. One of our fans trying the product. So we gotta love that. Appreciate you guys who are trying them out. You already know they're great stuff. They got the strawberries and cream, the mixed bags, the fruits, the creams, all that stuff. But again, the big one, pink lemonade, coming out in 2 days. get it. Check them out at ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZ brands.com, and on Instagram at ogsbrands to find them at a dispensary near you. Again, you must be 21 years or older to purchase and enjoy responsibly. And, it's, we wouldn't be able to make it, or at least Owen won't be able to make it, I believe, because traveling tomorrow to New Mexico. Otherwise, we would be
The
on
dark
trivia.
place.
What's that?
The dark place.
The dark place, even darker than this
I
room.
would rather be in Valley Tap Room with you, Max.
You would rather be at Valentine. I mean, you already
Not necessarily with you, because you'll just claim credit for winning at trivia again.
I wouldn't claim credit. I carry the team on my back.
I carry the team. I'm Max Simpson.
Yeah, I am. I carry the team on my back every Tuesday night when they have trivia. Boom, at Valley Tap Room. They're off the 202 in Gilbert. They got all the great stuff going on, guys. Delicious beers. You can get Four Peaks there. You can get all kinds of good stuff. They got wine. They got ciders, seltzers, a slushy machine putting out wine-based liquor, all kinds of good stuff. They always have live music, cornhole tournament throughout the week, all that jazz. Again, check them out at Valley Tap Room and on Instagram at Valley Tap Room. Again, visit them off the 202 in Gilbert, and tell them Owen sent you, and he'll buy you a beer. Add it to the tab.
Tell him to put him on Max's tab. Yeah,
I don't.
Tell him I sent you. Put him on Max's tab.
Don't like that transition.
I
Owen,
like it.
Anyway, I know you guys, probably highlighted a bit on the post game, but in your mind now, looking a couple days out after the weekend's fixtures, anything that really stands out in terms of ramifications for the league?
Let's see. I mean, Orange County winning 3-0 away to Tulsa is... I'm not sure how much to read into it because 2 of those goals were late.
Yeah.
Okay. That's always something that I'm not sure how much to read into then. They scored the 1, which really... I'd consider it. I think Charleston winning 4-3 away.
That's
to
a hell of a
Hartford.
Match. That's a 90th minute
winner
winner
and a red card in there as well.
Oh yeah.
Beyond that, no, not necessarily anything. I mean, Birmingham Legion getting a win over Indy 11. Indy 11 not one of the strongest teams. To me, it's important for Legion to be getting wins after what has been a struggle for them in the league, but still. Not fairly convinced. Miami FC falling 2-1 at home to Loudoun. To me, tells me all I needed to know about Loudoun. I think they're a very mediocre team.
Yeah.
And so when Rising ultimately take on them, they've got them down the line after New Mexico on Wednesday, Oakland on Saturday, Memphis the following Saturday, and then it's Miami. I think, I don't think they're a very good team. I think Rising will be disappointed if they can't come away with points out of that game. And I say points with an S on the end. I think they should win that match.
Fair.
Looking at games tomorrow, I think we should do that as well. There are 4 games. Not tomorrow, sorry, Wednesday. I'm getting confused. I keep thinking it's a Tuesday because
it is Tuesday. We also haven't been in our remote studios in a while, so it's all kind of topsy.
Very true, very true. Everything is kind of topsy.
Yeah, the handsome host back. It's all kind of mixing together. Ooh, kind of nuts. Yeah.
Max, you sell a lot of things. You can't sell people that.
Damn.
Right, looking at Wednesday, RGV hosting Colorado Springs, Memphis 901 hosting Tulsa, and Birmingham Legion hosting Loudoun United.
Yeah.
A lot of games that I'm not really sure what to make of any of this. I think RGV Colorado Springs is the most important in a lot of ways. Colorado Springs had a great start, slowed down. They did win in Vegas on the weekend, but they still slowed down a lot from that early start. So to me, if they want to get this season back on track as one of the more surprising top sides in the West, we didn't expect them to be up that high. They need to be looking to get points out of Edinburgh come Wednesday. But besides that, Memphis Tulsa, not that interesting. Birmingham Legion against Loudoun, not that interesting.
Sure.
To me, I'm circling the game that we're most interested in anyway. I think that's the most interesting game of the night.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And, I will caveat that we are going to have another show later in the week to preview Saturday's matchup against Oakland Roots. I'm kind of curious, right, how you kind of go about the lineup decision. There's a lot of factors to play in there. This isn't like an Open Cup where you'd be playing necessarily a more reserve squad or anything like that, perhaps. But it's the fact that these two matches, they're both away, but you look at them as winnable. Like not a result, absolutely downright winnable. How much rotation do you think we're going to expect? And if so, which match do you play your stronger squad?
Give Mexico.
I agree.
Yeah. A, they're a weaker team.
Yep.
B, it means more.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Well said. Okay. Glad we're all thinking it. Glad we are all thinking it. I was gonna say, yeah, and it's gonna be interesting how this all plays out. I appreciate everyone dropping the.
I'm not taking the Greyhound Sly.
Taking the grass.
Albuquerque's bad enough.
Oh boy. Oh man. Well, kind of went over the Louisville match. Talked about New Mexico. This is gonna be. Gosh, what are you gonna? I was gonna say, any special content we can look forward to on Wednesday when you travel there? Anything in particular? Any exploring you're gonna do? You alluded to an animal earlier, perhaps. What can we expect?
I alluded to what?
I heard something about a rat, something like that. I don't know. Those who know, if you know, you know. I don't know.
Max, just stop.
Inside jokes that are rambling. Oh man. What else? Anything else we didn't cover? You want to ask me about my trip? No, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe? I mean, talk about your trip if you want.
Max,
who wanted to talk about his trip. He is now going to be the stereotypical American. I went overseas. Oh, it changed me. Oh, look at me. I'm so different. Oh.
I don't know about that. No, it was a nice trip. It was South
There
America.
There we go. That's fine. I've calmed you down now, Max, so that your actual answer will be more like sedate and normal.
Well, no, it didn't change me. It was probably the best trip that I had. It was amazing. I think something that really stuck with me is like, man, there is literally a soccer pitch like every 3 blocks, and it's like, damn, that's really cool. Like, that was awesome. People playing of all ages, which they also have a lot of their soccer pitches on like a basketball court with a basketball on top. So that's a thing, I guess. I've seen it before, just not at that volume, but very cool. Yes, Sly, I did go to Machu Picchu. It was absolutely beautiful there. Lots of hiking. I did a hike. The summit was 17,000 feet at Rainbow Mountain. It's I was Sunday League doesn't prepare you for that. I'll say that. But yeah, it was a good time. Very happy I went, ate some delicious food, and yeah, glad to be. Well, I wouldn't say glad to be back because I got to deal with this guy wherever you're watching the screen. But yeah, it's nice. Yeah, Albert says sorry we aren't like where you step out your door and you're in another country. That's fair. Yeah, you got a little travel. Got a little travel. Super worth it though. Highly recommend. If so I would have passed out at 600 feet. I almost did, man. I almost did. It's very beautiful out there. Color, like, very nice people. Yeah, happy I went. Trip of a lifetime. Very much looking forward to going back to South America. But yeah, Owen, thanks for asking about my trip. So kind of you. Anything else we missed?
You really wanted to talk about your trip there, didn't you?
Hey, man, I was gone for 2 weeks.
I know.
I'll take a little shout out here and there.
Well, rumor has it that, I don't know, the chat, I think we need to just, before we go, we need to have a little bit of a vote in the chat. Are we going for Max or are we going for Emma back?
Oh, gosh. Chat. Listen,
feel free to vote in the chat. Just tell us. Drop in the comments who you'd rather have.
It's okay. I respect it. I'm sure Emma did a great job.
I mean, Max had a great time in South America. We could always send him back.
I wouldn't mind it if I'm being honest. No, it's okay. No, whatever. Okay, Mike. All right.
There we go.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Give us your honest answer. What if
I knew that would come in.
That's fair. I respect it. No, it's a.
Oh, there we go. He's just gonna replace you. There we go.
People just have like it's like a Royal Rumble of just who's gonna replace me. Listen, everyone. Oh no. Emma's first. Listen, Emma's got some nice skill set. Her first touch is not as good as mine. I'm waiting. No. There's evidence. We got proof of that. I will video. I'll cobble together a video or something. No. A first touch compilation. Mine's way better. Let's call it what it is. Don't get it twisted. Anything else, Owen, before you offer my job up again for the second time on this pod?
No. That was good by me.
Fantastic. Well, lovely. It was very nice air quote now. It was nice seeing everyone. Appreciate you guys joining us on this episode of the PHNX Rising Podcast. You can follow Owen at OJ Evans 18. You can follow me at not at Adman is buying beers. It's a horrible display name. You can follow me at Max David Simpson, and you can follow us at PHNX __ Rising because double the underscore.
Double the shots that Max is taking on Wednesday.
Oh dear gosh, that I was not expecting that. Well, yeah, appreciate you guys joining us.
He's doing it.
Appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to be back on Wednesday for our post-game show. Again, catch us on our pregame show over at AZ Family. Appreciate you guys watching along with those before darn near every home and away match. But yeah, we'll catch you guys post-game on Wednesday. And yeah, all I got to say is the beautiful game. It's beautiful, but it's not as beautiful seeing it in South America in person, which I do love in my heart. Mi corazón. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Cheers.